Hi, welcome to Mortgage 101. I'm Lisa Dwyer, your host, and I'm so excited about today's show. I'm here to talk to you about everything related to your mortgage. Today we're going to talk about understanding your title work and also going over a HUD settlement statement, because I know that it's overwhelming when you're refinancing or you're purchasing and you have this document and it's 3 or 4 pages long and you're just not sure about it. So we're going to help you understand that. If you have one at home, you can grab yours and go along with us, and we'll be able to help you understand it a bit more clearly. I've been in the mortgage industry for 15 years. I'm a state licensed loan officer. I've worked for several companies, and I'm not here to try to get you to use me or any specific company, but we're here to educate you. I'm not going to tell you how great my rates are or how awesome I am, but I'm just going to talk to you about how to save money, how to understand your documents. We have several great guests coming up in the next few episodes. We have an inspector coming in. We have an appraiser coming in. We just try to always help you understand everything related to mortgage. We also try to help you save money in the meantime, right? So we tell you how to get out of debt sooner. We help you with biweekly payments. We help you understand how that will save you thousands of dollars and years off your mortgage and reduce your interest rate. So I'm really excited. Today I have Karen Popilek, and Karen, thanks for being here.
Thanks for
You're
having
just
me.
amazing. You work with Transnation Title.
Yes, I own a new branch in Clarkston.
Yes. Tell me how long you've been in business.
I've been doing title insurance for 25 years now. Just started out in Troy and then just kind of went through the steps and have been in almost every end of title insurance that there is, doing the processing and closing for the real estate.
Great. Well, you're amazing, and I'll tell
Thank
you.
you.
I just want you to know this. I'm sure people tell you this all the time, that when I'm at a closing with you, you make the customers and the borrowers feel so comfortable. You explain everything, whatever they have questions about. You'll stop the closing and just go over it with them. So you're amazing. So I'm so happy to have you as a friend and on the show.
It's to me, it's important to me that the people, I mean, it's the biggest purchase of their life normally, and I want to make sure everybody understands it. It's supposed to be a happy occasion. They should really know what they're getting into, and when they're purchasing or refinancing, they have to understand the papers. The loan officers now are awesome now, so they go through every paper, but to the closing table, that's when they get there, that's what they remember when they leave.
Right. And we don't go over title and things like that.
Right,
so
that's
you guys. I mean, you guys really, you understand it front and back, everything about it, liens and about deeds and things like that, and coverage.
Right.
So what do you think? So we have samples here today. And if you don't have yours out, if you have any questions, you can definitely get in contact with me, and I'll get you in contact with Karen. Our number is 248-627-7283, or you can go to Mortgage Saver, mtgsaver@gmail.com, and email me any questions that you have, or if you have some questions about your title or your HUD, and we'd be happy to help you out.
Absolutely.
So today we're going to go over a title, okay? This is what a title is, what it looks like. I know you can't see it at home, but if you can picture yours, and I don't know if I can give it to the editor and maybe she can show one on the screen, but all right, let's kind of go over what a title looks like.
Okay, so you have the title policy is what happens after the transaction. So the commitment is what is issued before the closing happens.
Okay.
Okay, so this is a commitment today, and I brought a refinance and a purchase one. The purchase basically shows what your sales price is going to be, what your mortgage amount is, and who owns the property and who we're insuring.
Right.
And most people are, why do you even have title insurance? Is the biggest question I get is like, why?
Right.
And
why do I need this?
Why do I even need this? Right. Well, it's an insurance policy. It's what helps. We have had closings where people have gone to sell their house and suddenly they have 7 liens on title and didn't even know. So there's 7 mortgages or creditors or judgments against their property, and they could not even know that it's there.
And how would that happen?
Sometimes it's even a previous owner's lien. So some liens just follow the property. And if they didn't get the transaction carried through the last time when they purchased and it wasn't cleared up, It just follows the property. So a mortgage company liens your property when it's purchased if you take out a mortgage.
Sure.
If you get a private sale or private mortgage or a private lender, they lien your property to secure their interest. There's judgments now. The creditors I know can lien properties, IRS liens if you're, have any types of issues like that. Mechanics liens when you're doing home improvements and you didn't pay your person who's doing the work, they can lien your property. There's many different kinds of liens.
So explain the importance of getting those removed before you do anything.
The importance, and you know what, for us at our title company at Transnation, that's one thing that I am so blessed with the team I have. They're like bulldogs. They will find liens, they clear them for the people. They will get a hold of banks. There's banks that have been gone 10 years. They go and find them. They will find who the lien holder is at this point to clear the lien, to discharge it. And it's important to get that off lien so that when you're transferring it to the new owner, they have clear title.
Right.
So, because if you don't want to be encumbered by any liens when you have transferring over to another person, that's what the insurance is for.
What happens if I was to purchase a home and I left those liens on there?
Well, for one thing, if you transferred without them, with not clearing the liens, it's not ensuring you're signing a deed, you're warranting the deed stating that there are no more liens on the property. So you're committing fraud in a sense because you're not transferring with knowing, if you're aware of the liens that are on there.
Do you think that I've seen it in my business, but I want you to tell everybody because this is your forte.
Mm-hmm.
People who do a land contract and don't check title.
I get so many calls on that. You'd be amazed at how many calls I get on that. It's not a good idea. People will say, "Oh, it's been in my family for years and years and years." Well, that's great. However, whoever held it could have. It's a family name. The IRS could be, if there's liens from the IRS that they don't know about. If there's creditors that they didn't pay, they can lien their property. And if they don't check title to see that it is free and clear from the family that owns it, and you take the land contract, you're taking their debt. That lien is following you.
And you'll never ever know that. You would, as a consumer, right, as a buyer of a home, I would never know what was on lien, right? Well, what liens were on there, unless I did what? Ordered title.
Ordered title insurance, absolutely. So we ensure that it's cleared. We ensure that you are getting and you own the property without.
I think
any
that's
liens.
The most important.
It really is. People back in the day, there was people that were handshake and sign this over and we're good to go. No, not so much. Yeah, you can't trust as much as we used to be able to, unfortunately. But no.
So just to reiterate, the first thing that the title company does, right, before they issue a clear title is to make sure that they work on removing all those liens, past liens.
Yes.
And then the new lien will be the new mortgage or two, right? Sometimes there's a first or a second.
Right, unless they purchase cash, obviously there's no lien whatsoever.
Right.
But yes, the first thing we do is we contact the seller, the person who owns the property. Hopefully the seller will match the purchase agreement that we have.
Right.
And we contact them and ask them, hey, did you know you have this mortgage, this, and sometimes they say no, not at all.
Most of the time they do. They
yeah,
really
they
do.
They do know. Yeah. Oh, that showed up. I was afraid that was going to happen. And other people are like, "What? That's not me." So we have to get social security numbers, names. We check names, social security numbers to clear things. And then if it's a mortgage liens that they are aware of course, we get their loan numbers and their social security numbers to get the payoff from the mortgage company to clear the lien.
Well, that's awesome. Well, we just touched the tip of the iceberg
yes,
here
we
on
did.
title.
A little tiny bit.
We'll be right back, and we're going to talk about the remaining title issues that may come up, or some other things about deeds and things like that. So we'll be right back.
Celebrate the arrival of spring and hop on over to the Orient Center on Saturday, March 29th for the 2014 Bunny Bop. Bring a basket to hunt for eggs filled with candy and prizes. Families can enjoy a pancake breakfast or create fun craft projects. And of course, the Easter Bunny will be there for a special photo opportunity. The family-friendly fun starts at 10 a.m. Pre-registration is required. For more information, visit orienttownship.org or call 248-391-0304, extension 305.
Thanks for watching. I'm Lisa Dwyer. This is Mortgage 101, and I'm here with Karen Popilek from Transnation Title, and we're talking about title insurance, how to protect yourself against liens, and we're going to go over a HUD settlement statement in just a bit. So we talked about liens, and what's the next thing that's pretty important here on these papers?
Okay, so we have the owner. So you have who owns the property, which you always hope is the seller of the property. We've had quite a few lately that aren't, but it happens where sometimes there's unrecorded land contracts, like we spoke about.
Right.
They don't record the land contract, and then the person who signed the purchase agreement is not the owner of the property. And so I know the real estate agents, they're, what's happening here? Karen. So I always reach out. Whenever I get title back, I reach out to my clients and say, hey,
Right.
I know you had John Doe sign this purchase agreement. However, Steven Seller owns it. Should we find out why? Yeah. So and usually my clients let me talk directly to the people because it's easier just for me to talk to them directly and explain to them what we're doing. And then the legal description. Legal description is very, very important in tax IDs. You have to make sure it's the land that we have the right land and the right tax ID that's transferring, because there's been many times where liens get recorded against the property that wasn't supposed to be against that property, but it's because the county, they make
errors.
They do make errors. We're all human. We make mistakes.
And so you're here to double check that.
Yes.
I'll tell you a story once. I had an appraisal come back and was all excited. The value came in. It was awesome. I was like, your house is worth $30,000 more than you thought.
Yay.
And I said, I'm going to send you the appraisal. So I get them a copy of it, and they're like, that's not my house.
It's not my house. I've had that. I got to a closing actually once where I pulled out their appraisal to give to them, and they're like, that's not our house. And I thought, I thought they were joking. They're like, no, really, that picture's not our house. I'm like, oh my goodness. Which that's a whole nother show.
Well,
because
that tells me that loan officer didn't give them a copy of their appraisal.
No, this was years ago before it wasn't required. Yeah, now it's required to see it beforehand.
So legal description is very
important. Very important. Yep. Legal description, tax IDs, make sure they all match up with
and that goes with their
common
escrows.
address.
If I don't have the right tax ID, you're not going to pay your taxes.
Right, you're going to pay somebody else's taxes. Very nice of you. Very nice of you to be that generous.
All right, what's next on this title?
Next is the requirements. So on the requirements page, it states, what it is we have to do to transfer the property. So we have to obviously record the deed that's transferring from the seller to the buyer, and we have to record their mortgage if they're taking one out. And then there's the lists of the liens on the property that need to be cleared. And then the taxes. So it also tells us the tax amounts if they're paid or if they're due.
Right.
Taxes that have to be taken care of. If it's homesteaded or not, homestead for or non-homesteaded, make sure that the new people get homesteaded if it's their primary home. And then water and sewer. If there's any specials from the city or townships, we list those as well.
Yeah, assessments are important to know because you may be buying a home and you see the taxes are only $1,400. Well, you may not know about a special assessment. They just received consumer or a gas line, which is a $3,000 add-on, right? And until that's paid, right? So people really have to do, and thank God that you guys do all this for us, really, because I wouldn't, this is not my profession, right? I'm not a researcher, right? I'm the networker. I'm the person, that sits across from you and tells you all the time it's going to be okay.
I know. You work with the money end. We make sure they get to their money end, right? And this is a stressful time for people. It's so hard for them. Yeah, and especially understanding it is so important. It's just, going through with them and taking the time.
So Schedule B, or this part of the title, really just tells people what the taxes have been paid for the last couple years, because this also happens. I don't know if it's an error or if it's sometimes intentional from the agents. They put these tax amounts on there, and they're nowhere near what the taxes truly are.
Right. There are so many different websites that they use, and they're just not up to date. There's different kinds of sites that agents use that they're connected to the public records, but more times than not, just last week I had an agent call on her son's house and ask me, there's this deed showing on his property. Why is that deed there? She thought like somehow there was somebody took his property from him. And what happened is because the site she was looking at that the realtors use recorded it against the wrong property. Like they listed it. Her son is in the southern division of the subdivision. This was in the northern division of the subdivision, and just that little difference it caused all kinds of stress. She was freaking out. It was
Right.
terrible. So I went immediately to the Oakland County records and pulled everything for her and said, nope, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine. That site you're looking at, unfortunately, is stating this, and it's not his house. It's this other house in the northern.
Right.
And she was like, oh my goodness, thank you so much. That's what title insurance do.
It does. I mean, you guys really protect the consumers. You do.
Yes,
you
that's what we're here
watch
for.
their back. And some people will complain about the fee or the price, but you know what? When you pay this small fee for title insurance, and then you don't pay it and have this monster problem later, you're going to have attorney fees. You're going to have so many legal fees and time.
Yes.
Better just to be safe. And a lot of lenders, and we wouldn't even do your mortgage without having insurance.
Right.
Yeah.
The lenders are required to have title
Absolutely.
insurance. Right.
So this part's really important about the taxes that have been paid for the last year.
Right.
All right, awesome.
Right. And then the exceptions. The exceptions page basically goes over the fact that we cover the liens, the taxes, everything except for defects or liens that are of not of record. Obviously, if it's not on record, we can't see it, so we can't insure over that.
Sure.
And claimants,
Yeah.
Right.
And sometimes things will happen in the transition period, right?
Right.
As you're doing title insurance, somebody else may be putting a lien on. I mean, those kind of things you can't foresee.
You can't foresee.
Right.
We insure. We do a gap coverage. We insure from the closing date back to make sure we review as much as we can, and then we insure closing date forward for the buyer. So if it's not out there of record, I mean, obviously we can't. There's nothing we can do about it.
But you do so much due diligence.
We do. We really do. We check and we update again just before closing, just like like mortgage lenders check credit reports. We check title insurance.
Right.
All the time.
Right,
We
just
check.
to
We
make
check. We
sure.
check. Right.
And you guys also order payoffs and just double check those for us
Yes,
too. I mean,
yep.
you make sure that the people that are refinancing or purchasing are getting the correct payoff off
Yes.
to them.
Yeah. Make sure that our lien coordinates with the address that's on, because sometimes you can have a lien on property, and then the payoff they send us have a different address because that homeowner could have more than one property, and one mortgage at the mortgage company. So we have to check the addresses with the properties, all the liens. Yes.
That is crazy. This talks a little bit about easements and labor, oil, gas, mineral, mining rights. I mean, all of that is pretty important. My grandmother was in Pennsylvania, lived there her whole life. She went to sell, and she's seen, must have been, 1902. I mean, no offense, Grandma, but you know what I mean? It was like that long ago. And they said, well, you have mineral rights. Mm-hmm. And she said, well, what do you mean? And they said, you have oil, you have this. She said, oh, she started getting some checks. So until she found out, they were kind of holding back on her money.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so
and Pennsylvania is a whole different beast
Yeah.
with title insurance than Michigan. I mean, mostly in Michigan, mineral rights transfer through.
Right.
Unless there's a specific life estate stating that mineral rights stay with this family.
Right.
I mean, everything changes with the property.
We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm Lisa Dwyer with Mortgage 101. This is Karen Popilek, and we're going to talk about exceptions to your title. We're going to talk about some gas, oil, mineral rights. We're going to talk about defects, liens, encumbrances. So Karen, thanks again.
Thank you for having me. Okay, now the exceptions page of the title insurance is basically the things that could be lien on property that accept out. So if it's not a record, we don't know it's there. So there's assessments that happen, there's liens that could come up on the property that we don't even know because they didn't record them. So they're not there. So obviously the title company can't insure over that, right? So there's encumbrances, claims, and if they don't record the claim, then obviously we can't cover that.
Right.
So that's when we have them sign off saying, okay, we're, sorry, that's not our responsibility, and then they have to figure that out with the seller. Right. And then there's the mineral rights. So you have the mineral rights that in Michigan, they transfer right with the property, unless it's specifically stated not to transfer with the family somewhere, and that would be in the chain of title somewhere. It would specifically state the mineral rights stay with, then they transfer. Because and I know you were talking about your grandma with in Pennsylvania. It's totally different out there. They have all kinds of neat things happening there.
Right.
But in Michigan, everything transfers over with the new owner.
Well, I think just making sure that you guys are double checking everything for the clients is just so important. I really do.
It really, really, really is.
Now, is there anything different between, was this a purchase or a refinance?
Yeah, this is a purchase commitment. Now, there's definitely a difference. The difference between the two commitments are, the purchase title commitment has an owner's policy attached to it. So an owner's policy is what the seller purchases for the buyer. So that is the insurance that the seller purchases and pays for the buyer to ensure to them that they're getting clear title.
This is a huge misconception with people.
Yes, it is.
When I'm purchasing, so let's just break it down a little bit in layman terms, okay?
Okay.
If I'm buying a house, what am I responsible for?
You are responsible for getting your mortgage, if you are in fact doing that, transferring all utilities into your name, and bringing funds to closing.
Right, and on insurance, I'm for owner's policy. There's different costs.
Right. So you're responsible for the mortgage policy. So if you're having a mortgage, then you have to pay for the bank's policy, so that the mortgage amount is.
Okay.
So like this one we did, and there's a simultaneous issue. So a basic owner's policy, so that's the seller's responsibility.
Yep.
The mortgage policy is the buyer's responsibility, and that would be given a rate on a simultaneous rate, which means because you ordered the owner's policy, you get a credit toward your mortgage policy.
Right.
All right, so like a mortgage policy on an $83,000 loan is $342.
It's not that much. It's so inexpensive for what you're getting.
Yes, it really, really is. And the seller side, so this sales price on this particular one we're doing is $104,500. So that's your sales price. That's $725. It's such a minimal fee for the peace of mind and protection and what can happen.
Yes.
And it's so important to have it.
People think, well, I'm like, you have to get title insurance. Well, is it like car insurance? No.
No, it's a one-time fee. It's one time that with the purchase of your home, and unless you refinance, then every time you refinance or sell, you have to have policies to insure whoever is giving you your loan.
Right.
Right. So and it covers when you purchase. And what a lot of people don't know is if you sell, or not sell, but if you transfer the property. So if you buy in your name, Lisa Dwyer, and then you add somebody to your title, that breaks the policy.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't even know that.
It did. When you just deed on your husband or deed on your children, just in case, the policy that was issued to you, it can be broken because you changed the ownership of what the policy was insuring.
So what do you do to protect yourself?
Well, you could purchase another policy for insuring everybody in that claim. I mean, that would be
the most popular, what people do.
Right. That would be actually the only thing that would cover everybody.
Right. And that makes sure that it's covered. So any other differences in a title policy from purchasing to refinancing?
Well, in the purchasing, it's ensures the seller's warrants the seller giving clear title, that the buyer's receiving clear title, and the mortgage company is insured.
Beautiful.
So on the refinance policy, it's specifically just the lender, and when you refinance your home, you have to have a mortgage policy because the lender wants to make sure that they will be in first lien position. So when you refinance, we have to clear all the liens that are of title.
Right, so you're doing the same
thing, same
for
process
a purchase
for,
as a refi.
Mm-hmm. And then your new lender will take precedence in ownership.
First,
lien.
yeah, first lien.
Lien position.
Well, I'll tell you, there is so much information that's so important. And if you haven't been blessed with a great company or person, right, that's going to show you and help you understand all the ins and outs of your title, then we would be happy to help you and show you either what you've already had done or to help you with your new purchase or refinance. I really appreciate you being on the show today. I'm so excited. I really feel it's so important to try and help people understand. It is their biggest and most expensive asset most of the time.
Usually.
When they're refinancing or purchasing. So thank you so much for watching. We look forward to seeing you again, and God bless.